Even as these words appear before your eyes, the reply to forms in your mind, no. It isn't about disliking them. It has nothing to do with money. What drains you is imagining the effort, stepping outside, putting on clothes that feel unnecessary, filling silence with words that go nowhere, acting lively when all you want is stillness. That calm night you'd set aside suddenly feels miles away. Should that couch start calling your name instead of going out? Stick around. This pull towards staying put does not mean you dislike people. It points to a quiet strategy built long ago when calm spaces offered shelter from chaos too hard to predict. Picture this: neurons firing off like sparks each time you say no to plans. Your mind weighs comfort against connection without warning. A quiet moment becomes a battlefield of wants. What seems small carries weight behind closed doors. Every refusal shapes how you see yourself just slightly. Hidden reactions build up where only you can feel them. This internal process stays invisible, yet powerful. Staying put at home while others head out, folks often jump to conclusions. Shyness, sadness, awkwardness, that's the usual guess. Truth is, none of those labels fit every time. What looks like withdrawal might simply be preference. Energy matters more than image. Some recharge by pulling back. Not broken, just different. Quiet choices aren't cries for help. Sometimes a couch isn't an escape, it's a reset. Homebodies aren't hiding from others, just shaping surroundings that fit. Their space, their rules. Quiet wins over show. A place where effort flows inward instead of feeding unseen expectations. Unseen scripts they never signed up to follow. Not quite shyness, even if it sometimes looks that way. Something beneath the surface shapes it. Even as these words appear before your eyes, the reply to forms in your mind, no. It isn't about disliking them. It has nothing to do with money. What drains you is imagining the effort, stepping outside, putting on clothes that feel unnecessary, filling silence with words that go nowhere, acting lively when all you want is stillness. That calm night you'd set aside suddenly feels miles away. Should that couch start calling your name instead of going out? Stick around. This pull towards staying put does not mean you dislike people. It points to a quiet strategy built long ago when calm spaces offered shelter from chaos too hard to predict. Picture this: neurons firing off like sparks each time you say no to plans. Your mind weighs comfort against connection without warning. A quiet moment becomes a battlefield of wants. What seems small carries weight behind closed doors. Every refusal shapes how you see yourself just slightly. Hidden reactions build up where only you can feel them. This internal process stays invisible, yet powerful. Staying put at home while others head out, folks often jump to conclusions. Shyness, sadness, awkwardness, that's the usual guess. Truth is, none of those labels fit every time. What looks like withdrawal might simply be preference. Energy matters more than image. Some recharge by pulling back. Not broken, just different. Quiet choices aren't cries for help. Sometimes a couch isn't an escape, it's a reset. Homebodies aren't hiding from others, just shaping surroundings that fit. Their space, their rules. Quiet wins over show. A place where effort flows inward instead of feeding unseen expectations. Unseen scripts they never signed up to follow. Not quite shyness, even if it sometimes looks that way. Something beneath the surface shapes it. A place to belong shapes how we see shelter. Not just walls, but calm, control, space without noise. Because so many carry this idea from young years long before they question it. Picture it. A kid walks in, keys jingle, silence answers back. That quite taught them fast. Walls aren't always warm. They saw early on, 4 rooms and a roof could mean freedom. Not shelter from storms, but space without demands, where no one watched the clock waiting for dinner, no eyes judged what they wore. Just stillness. Their rules, no explanations needed. Your mind holds on to patterns tightly. Once it links home with security and command, gatherings, even those labeled joyful, begin seeming like surrendering what you guard most. This is where things began. Back when most of us first showed up, a kid walks into a quiet home right after class ends. Adults are off at jobs, nowhere nearby. Someone is missing who could say hello, wonder how things went, offer direction for what comes next. Only quiet. Open air. Figuring out how to spend the coming hours. Something they must sort through alone. What a child's brain learns. Alone doesn't mean broken. Actually, it often feels like coming home, without others watching, pretending falls away. Quiet settles in. That silence, it fits just right. Alone time becomes a chance to play. Solitude offers room to dig into what feels right. Structure rises from within, not handed down by others. Here's the thing. Peace inside doesn't come from outside noise. When left alone with their thoughts, some find a quiet strength grows on its own. Not every child gets space like that. Without someone always stepping in, they figure out how to sit still, wait, handle boredom. It sticks. Later it shows up as calm when others panic. Nobody handed it to them. Picture someone older now. They get asked to a gathering, maybe drinks, maybe a work thing. Their mind starts weighing things up. What's in it for them? Chatter fills the room, loud sounds bouncing off walls. Lights flash while bodies move nonstop, never quite sure when it will stop. Talking happens whether you want it or not. Moments stretch without warning. Control slips quietly out of reach. Stillness lives here. Real shows up without effort. Power gets saved, not spent. Everything runs by your hand alone. The world stays steady, never shifting. Pretending ends at the door. Sure, numbers add up fast. Most often, staying put pays off. This isn't about nerves around people. It's a deep-rooted choice shaped long ago, back when solitude offered more ease than any crowd ever could. Home means deciding when lights go off. Some wake early, others stay up late. One person likes quiet mornings. Another plays music loud at noon. Cooking smells fill rooms differently each week. A neighbor might complain. Privacy shifts depending on walls. Rules change without warning elsewhere. Here, choices stack slowly over time. Living feels shaped by small daily acts. That feeling builds something steady. Stuck at home more often? Childhood might explain it. Chaos back then left marks. Moods shifted without warning inside the house. Grown-ups acted one way today, another tomorrow. Money troubles made every schedule shaky. Nothing stayed fixed for long. Your earliest years full of surprises leave you craving steady ground later on. What slips through your fingers at gatherings? The guest list shows up on its own. Mood of the room shifts like weather. Duration stretches or shrinks beyond guesswork. Pleasure isn't guaranteed, never promised. Exit timing walks a tightrope between freedom and awkwardness. Hidden tensions rise without warning. Your space. Every choice runs through you. Heat shifts how things feel. Light changes what stands out. Sound fills gaps you did not notice. Some people walk near. Clothes stick close to skin. Food arrives without warning. Timing decides motion. Contact might happen. Silence stays possible. What feels like freedom to some becomes survival for others. Those who need independence thrive only when steering their own path. Out there, among people, it's as if something inside tightens up. Step into a room buzzing with noise not of your making. Suddenly, everything feels unsteady. Your body remembers old warnings, long before words could name them. Danger lives in disorder, it whispers. Better off where things stay predictable. True, navigating gatherings isn't beyond your reach. In fact, you've done it before, many times over. Still, each moment demands attention, sensing shifts in mood, adjusting how you reply, staying aligned with unspoken rules. Energy gets spent just keeping pace. Home doesn't need any of it. Just being there works. For those who grew up handling everything alone, silence like that means more than words. Stillness matters most. What escapes party lovers might hit home for stay-at-homes, connecting with others doesn't charge their batteries. it drains them. Out there among others, extroverts feel alive. Bright sparks fly inside their heads when surrounded by chatter. With each word exchanged, a hum builds behind the eyes. Noise isn't background, it's fuel. Movement pulls them forward like wind at their backs. Home is where some find their truth instead. A flicker across someone's face pulls your attention. Not just eyes, sound matters too. The way words stretch or shrink. What slips out, what stays locked away. That balance shifts constantly. The weight of being watched shapes each reply. Others' unspoken requests land softly. Then demand answers. Work it is. Not loud, never flashy, just there every day, beneath the surface where attention rarely goes, yet somehow wears you down all the same. Here's what stands out. Those picking home know this price well. Most days, it takes just one awkward laugh to remind them how little joy fits into hours of small talk. That brief moment of real chat? Rare. Worth it? Hardly. Getting there drains more than it gives back. Numbers refuse to line up right here. So when someone says, just come out for a little while, it'll be fun, what you hear is, please spend 3 hours of energy you don't have on an experience that statistically won't be worth the cost. No, that's the reply. It isn't due to being unfriendly. Rather, it's choosing wisely where to place your finite energy. Home keeps your strength safe, stored away, ready when needed. Not wasted on noise or clutter. Instead, it flows toward what fills you up. Projects that hold your attention, activities you return to again, people who feel worth the effort, thoughts that only you know. Here's a truth few will say straight up. Folks picking home often feel drained from playing their part around others. It is not about acting on a stage. Rather, it's the everyday way people present themselves when they gather socially. That grin popping up when spotting an almost stranger. Then comes the, how have you been? A question tossed like a frisbee, never meant to land. Energy summoned for updates that mean nothing at all. A chuckle squeezed out even though the joke fell flat on the floor. Small actions build over time. Home seekers usually spot the act right away. Not real bonds, these chats. Just roles we play together. A show with invisible scripts passed around like snacks at a party. They chose not to perform. That moment sticks because it shows up so young. Seeing grown-ups act one part outside, then shift entirely at home. Noticing too soon how what people show rarely matches what they truly feel inside. Here's what happens. You walk into a room where every smile seems rehearsed, each laugh timed just right. Suppose you're supposed to act lively, curious, involved, yet aware that nobody means any of it. It sits wrong somehow, like speaking lines from a play no one wrote on purpose. The whole thing echoes, empty beneath the noise. What if skipping the chat was just easier than acting interested? Staying in means time for what truly counts. Maybe being elsewhere feels more honest. Home waits, doing nothing beats faking it. Home strips away the lines we're told to recite. Silence sits just fine here. Not awkward, but honest. Who you are fits in these walls. No edits needed. Emotions stay raw, unpolished by second thoughts. Pretending ends where shoes come off. Finding truth matters most when fitting in does not. That space to be real, it holds greater weight than every gathering ever held. Turns out, some of the most capable folks in group settings often pick staying in instead of going out. What looks like avoidance might just be preference. It's not about being unable to handle gatherings. It's more like, once you've streamlined what matters socially, everything else just fades out on its own. This idea? I name it the competence paradox. Out there, some people get just right how they mix with others on purpose. Exactly what it takes to keep key connections alive sits clear in their mind. When moments count, you will find them fully there. Graceful exits happen too, whenever things simply do not matter. This skill grows from the same roots as their choice of living space. Lessons in standing on one's own, learned young. Figuring things out on your own when options are tight builds real know-how, because constraints push you, Working around limits sharpens how you adjust processes. Efficiency gets easier over time since trial shapes instinct. Now grown, you bring this knack into how you connect with others. What if skipping gatherings that miss the point lets you focus on staying close to who really counts? Using simpler ways, instead of showing up out of habit, imagine using moments wisely. Real connection doesn't need a crowded room. Sometimes less motion brings deeper contact. Who benefits when effort aligns with intent? Out here, most call it running away. Those living at home, they're just cutting out the noise. One person's retreat is another's reset. What looks like hiding feels like clarity from the inside. Out here, some choose quiet over crowd, not because they fell behind, but because the game always favored noise. Solitude suits them. Real bonds matter more than endless chatter. Their absence isn't loss, it's refusal. Home by choice might say more about a person than they realize. What stands out is how little they rely on others' approval. Quiet confidence replaces the need to be seen. Their decisions grow from within, not from applause. Comfort comes without performance. Living differently means answering to oneself first. Showing up isn't about being watched. Proof of a good life doesn't come from checking off parties. Worth isn't counted in yeses to invites or crowded weekends. Busy schedules don't whisper value louder than quiet ones. Being around people won't confirm if you're doing it right. Popularity never settles the question of enough. What they think of themselves comes from within. This does not happen often. A feeling of worth tied to outside things shows up in most folks. What crowds think, how busy they seem, the way peers view their daily choices. Home seekers stick with their choice. Others walk away. Most times, this grows out of missing steady approval during early years. Growing up without someone always saying you're on track leaves gaps. A child learning alone rarely hears their decisions celebrated. Their presence often passes unnoticed by others around them. Here is how it begins. You start building value within yourself. Noticing progress becomes a quiet habit, one moment at a time. The measure of what matters shifts, slowly settling behind your ribs, where only you can feel its weight. Done with something around the house? Feels right when it's off your list. Spent days flipping pages without distractions? That kind of slow pause proves its worth on its own. This inner check grows so strong, yet outside approval begins seeming empty. A person who doesn't know you clapping at a gathering, how does that shift what you carry inside? Being spotted in a crowd, does it feed anything real later on? Just emptiness. That's the reason pursuit makes no sense. Here, there is no need to prove anything, not measured by attention received or tasks completed. Just space to be without adding up results. Belonging comes from presence, not performance. Enoughness lives in just existing. Why this psychology matters now. Out here, busy calendars get mistaken for winning. Stay home instead of hitting another event? That quiet choice often feels like falling short. Missing the latest gathering, skipping the updates online, not chasing every chance to meet people, somehow that adds up to coming last. Yet those picking home life step away from the whole setup without a word. Quietly, they sidestep what everyone else accepts. Maybe peace matters more than perfect moments. Could it be that real effort beats small talk? Sometimes being alone by choice feels better than gathering without meaning. Home becomes a quiet rebellion when everything else shouts. Instead of chasing bigger, some pause. Screens flicker less where presence grows. Choosing walls that breathe means stepping off the race without announcing it. Quiet spaces answer noise, not with louder noise, but with stillness. The act of settling isn't surrender. It's redirection. A space opens when you guard your energy instead of handing it out. Life shapes itself around what you truly require, not some borrowed script about success. Quiet moments sit easier now, since being still does not mean disappearing. Choosing solitude doesn't reject people. It chooses them carefully instead, with purpose rather than habit. Not withdrawal, but quiet precision. What matters is choosing to go out when it feels right, not just because someone says you should. Homebodies aren't hiding. Their quiet choice reveals a deep trust in their own company. Choosing solitude over gatherings isn't rejection. It's reliance on inner resources. Comfort in being alone signals strength, not lack. Some find fullness where others see emptiness. Within, a life centered at home often runs on steady self-direction. Independence shows up not as rebellion but as calm preference. The familiar walls hold more than rooms. They shelter resolve. Home feels like where things make sense, shaped by years of learning. It means calm, choice, realness. Outside pressure pulls energy down, wears thin over time. Being alone, not a gap to fill. Actually better that way. One day it clicked how to handle things themselves. Content came from within, not handed down. A full life grew quietly, needing no applause to stay standing. Just because they choose quiet does not mean something is wrong. Missing big crowds might be their way of staying whole. Staying home sometimes means living more, not less. Folks dwell in it just how they want. Low-key, away from sight, by their own rules. Right there, while everyone rushes toward the next thing, they found a quiet kind of peace just staying put. Where others chase, they pause. Instead of reaching, they rest. Most scramble to become, these ones simply are. Perhaps within our worn-out, oversaturated, always plugged-in world, this isn't something needing repair. Perhaps this is insight worth noticing instead. After all, when your days feel full right where you are, chasing something beyond the front door makes little sense. If you like my video, please comment and subscribe.